everyone. Welcome back. We've been discussing Thanksgiving, whether you call it dressing, whether you call it stuffing. We started an online poll kind of thing, and we've gotten a little bit more response for stuffing, right? But it's pretty even at this point?
It's pretty close. Most of the Twitter people following me say stuffing, so.
Yeah, I think on Facebook we've got 5 stuffing, 4 dressing. So in case you were curious. But no matter what you call it, the bread-based side is a favorite for Thanksgiving, and we're giving it a little bit of a Gulf Coast twist this morning.
We've seen the beginning stages of oyster dressing. Now it's time to put it together and mix up another simple side.
So let's head back into Kat's kitchen.
Welcome back, guys. We're finishing up our oyster dressing. So our oysters have been sitting for about 30 minutes, letting all of that juiciness soak out into the bottom of our pan. We're just going to dump these straight into our cornbread. And I have 2 packages of cornbread here, about 6 ounces a piece dry. And I baked it in a 9x13, so the cornbread was really thin when it baked. So I didn't have to wait a whole day for my cornbread to dry out. I just baked it enough to where it was real dry and crumbly. So, along with our oysters, we're going to add about 1½ teaspoons of thyme. Then I have about a teaspoon of sage. Now I'm going to rub this in my hand so all of the delicious smells and flavors can get in our dressing. Now I'm going to add our vegetables back into this. Just dump them right on in. And then we're going to measure out our liquids. So, like I said earlier, we're going to reserve our oyster liquid. But I want to measure this out because we have to have enough liquid in our dressing to make it stick together. Okay, so I had about 3/4 cup of the oyster liquid. I'm going to pour that on in. And then we need about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of our chicken broth. Now, if you weren't using oysters, you were using mushrooms instead, you'd go ahead and use about 2 cups or 3 cups of chicken broth, just until it's nice and moist. We're also going to add 2 eggs. Now, if you just took your vegetables out of the sauté pan, they're going to be a little bit warm, so you want them to cool before you put your eggs in, or you're going to get scrambled eggs in your dressing. Dressing is all about sight. It's not just about these measurements. Mine looks a little dry, so I'm going to add about 1/2 cup more of chicken broth. So in the end, mine ended up needing about 2½ cups of liquid. So now we're going to put this in a casserole dish that's been sprayed well with some cooking spray. And then just dump it on in. Now we're going to put this in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes until the top is nice and brown. So now that our oyster dressing is in the oven baking away beautifully, we're going to make a really simple cranberry sauce. I have 12 ounces of cranberries. It's just a package of them. Put that down in a pan with a cup of water, cup of sugar. That's what makes it good. Then a little bit of fresh nutmeg. Now you always want to use fresh, especially when you're cooking dishes like this. Now in baking you can kind of get away with it, but this really makes all the difference. So I'm just going to scrape a little bit to my pleasing. There you go. That looks good. I also want to put a little bit of orange zest in here for some brightness and some freshness. Scrape that on in. So we're just going to cover and cook this for about 10 minutes on medium heat. That's all it really takes. You want these berries, most of them, to be popped. It will continue to thicken as it cools. So our oyster dressing is out of the oven and smells and looks absolutely delicious. Look at all that brown color, all those greens in there. Ooh, can't wait to taste it. You can really taste that oyster in our oyster dressing. And the cornbread with the vegetables, it's perfect savory dish. Now our cranberry sauce is super sweet, but you can definitely tell a difference between the canned and the fresh because you have those fresh berries in there. Very delicious. You can find these recipes and more at myfoxlubbock.com under the Good Day Lubbock tab. Back to you guys.
It's almost here. So excited. Thanks for that, Kat.